Welcome to your personalized deep dive into AI frontiers.
No.
Get ready,
Yep.
because today we're zeroing in on some major breakthroughs in AI.
Yeah, right.
And you've picked a great time to tune in.
Sounds good.
We're talking AI's role in fusion energy,
Yeah.
wildlife conservation,
Uh,
and even diving into how policies are evolving to keep up with this rapidly changing field.
it's a pivotal moment for AI, for sure.
Definitely.
And these particular areas you've chosen highlight how it's not just about algorithms and code.
Right.
It's about using AI to tackle some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of big challenges,
Okay.
let's start with something that's always seemed just out of reach: clean, sustainable fusion energy.
Yeah.
What's fascinating to me is that AI is now playing a crucial role in making this a reality.
Yeah, what's really exciting is the work being done at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory.
Oh.
They've teamed up with DeepMind to use AI to predict and optimize the conditions needed for nuclear fusion.
Ugh.
And they've actually achieved a new record in fusion energy output.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Definitely is.
But for those of us who aren't nuclear physicists,
Yeah.
can you break down why this is such a game changer? What were the limitations before?
Sure.
And how is AI overcoming them?
Well, you're right. Fusion is incredibly complex.
Yeah.
It involves creating and controlling a superheated plasma hotter than the sun
Yeah.
and sustaining a reaction that releases enormous energy.
I see.
The challenge has always been predicting how this plasma will behave.
Right.
It's incredibly chaotic and unpredictable. What AI brings to the table is the ability to analyze vast amounts of data from previous experiments and simulations,
Okay.
and then use that knowledge to make real-time adjustments, improving stability and efficiency.
So it's like having an AI co-pilot for this incredibly complex experiment,
Yeah.
guiding scientists toward the optimal conditions for fusion.
That's a great way to think about it.
I like that.
And what's even more intriguing is that this approach, using a neural network to predict and control complex systems,
Okay.
has implications far beyond fusion.
Oh, wow.
It opens up possibilities for tackling other challenges that involve complex physical systems,
Like what?
like climate modeling,
Interesting.
or even predicting earthquakes.
That's where it gets really interesting to me, seeing how these breakthroughs in one area can ripple out and impact completely different fields.
agree.
And it's not just about energy. AI is also making a significant impact on wildlife conservation,
Oh, yeah,
which might surprise some people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The World Wildlife Fund, in partnership with AWS,
Uh-huh.
has developed a platform that's using AI to analyze images from camera traps.
Okay.
Those hidden cameras used to monitor wildlife in their natural habitats.
I can see how that would be helpful.
Right.
But what's the AI twist here?
Sure.
I mean, researchers have been using camera traps for years.
Right.
What's different now?
The key difference is the scale and speed of analysis. Traditionally, researchers would have to manually sift through mountains of images,
I can imagine.
which is incredibly time-consuming
Yeah.
and limits how quickly they can respond to threats.
Right.
Now, AI algorithms can do this work in a fraction of the time,
Wow.
identifying species, counting individuals, even detecting signs of poaching or habitat loss.
That's a huge leap forward for conservation efforts.
For sure.
Instead of reacting weeks or months later,
Right.
they're getting real-time insights that can inform immediate action.
Exactly.
It's like giving these animals a voice,
Yeah.
a way to be seen and protected in a way that wasn't possible before.
Exactly.
And it's not just about monitoring. AI is also being used to develop predictive models that can anticipate where poaching might occur,
Right.
helping law enforcement target their efforts more effectively.
Exact.
That's incredible.
It is.
So we've got AI helping us unlock clean energy and protect endangered species.
Yeah.
What else is cooking in the world of AI? I know one of the topics you wanted to cover was the new TensorFlow 3.0.
Yes.
Okay.
TensorFlow 3.0 is a major release.
Uh-huh.
And one of the most exciting features is enhanced support for quantum computing integration.
Quantum computing.
Yes.
That's one of those terms that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction.
It does.
Can you give us a quick primer on what it is
Sure.
and why it's such a big deal for AI?
Imagine a computer that can perform calculations in a completely different way than traditional computers,
All right.
allowing it to tackle problems that are currently impossible to solve.
So like problems that would take years and years to solve.
That's the promise of quantum computing.
Hmm.
And while it's still early days, the potential for AI is enormous.
Wow.
We could see breakthroughs in drug discovery,
Okay.
materials science, even cracking the codes that protect our online data.
So TensorFlow 3.0 is essentially giving developers the tools to start experimenting with this next-generation computing power.
That's right.
And build AI applications that we can barely even imagine right now.
Exactly.
That's both exciting and a little daunting, right?
It is.
All this power in the hands of developers.
Yeah.
It brings up some serious questions about responsibility and ethics.
Definitely.
And speaking of ethics,
Yes.
I know that's another key area we wanted to explore today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As AI becomes more powerful and pervasive,
Right.
it's crucial to have clear guidelines and policies in place to ensure it's used responsibly.
Certainly.
And one of the places where this is happening right now is in the European Parliament.
Can you give us the lay of the land?
Sure.
What are some of the key issues being debated right now? What's at stake?
One of the major focuses of the proposed amendments to the AI Act is transparency.
Okay.
There's a growing concern about the black box problem, AI systems making decisions that we don't fully understand.
Right.
These amendments aim to address that
Okay.
by requiring companies to provide clear explanations of how their AI systems work, particularly when they're being used in high-stakes areas like healthcare,
Right.
finance,
Uh-huh.
and law enforcement.
Uh-huh.
So it's about ensuring that these systems are not just powerful, but also accountable,
Exactly.
that we can understand how they're making decisions
Yes.
and challenge those decisions if necessary.
Right.
That seems crucial,
It is.
especially when you consider how AI is increasingly being used to make decisions that impact people's lives in very real ways.
Absolutely.
It's not just about transparency. There are discussions about fairness,
Yeah.
bias,
Uh-huh.
and ensuring that AI systems don't perpetuate or amplify existing societal inequalities.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the broader conversation we need to be having about the role we want AI to play in our society. It's not just about the technology itself,
Right.
but about the values we embed in it.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's where our listeners come in.
That's right.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Yeah. What are your biggest takeaways from what we've discussed so far? What excites you most about the potential of AI? And what concerns you? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah.
And let's keep this conversation going.
And be sure to follow @AI4ThePeople on social media for more insights and updates.
Yes, definitely.
We'll be diving into some specific examples of AI in action in our next segment.
Sounds good.
So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join us tomorrow for even more AI insights. Thanks for listening.
See you next time. We were just talking about how crucial it is to address ethical considerations as AI becomes increasingly powerful.
Right.
And one of the most fascinating aspects of this conversation is how those ethical concerns intersect with the technical advancements themselves.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's not just about setting rules for AI.
Right.
It's about designing AI systems that are inherently ethical and responsible.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that brings us to a trend that's gaining a lot of traction: Edge AI.
Yeah. Edge AI.
Have you heard much about this?
I've heard the term, but honestly, I'm a bit fuzzy on the details.
Okay.
Isn't it just about AI running on devices instead of in the cloud?
Yeah.
What's so groundbreaking about that?
That's the basic idea, yes.
Okay.
But the implications are quite profound. Think about it.
Okay.
Right now, many AI applications rely on sending data to powerful servers in the cloud for processing.
Right.
But with Edge AI, those computations happen right there on the device itself.
Okay, so my phone or my smartwatch is doing the heavy lifting instead of relying on some giant data center miles away.
Exactly.
I can see how that would speed things up.
Yeah.
But is that really the main advantage?
Speed is definitely a factor, especially for applications where real-time responsiveness is critical.
Okay.
Self-driving cars
Right.
or medical devices.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really game-changing about Edge AI is its potential to enhance privacy and security.
Now that you mention it, I can see how keeping sensitive data on the device itself would be a huge win for privacy.
Right.
No more sending my personal information to some far-off server where who knows what could happen to it.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
And there's another layer to this.
Right.
With Edge AI, you're also reducing the risk of data breaches and cyber attacks.
Mm-hmm.
If the data never leaves the device,
Right.
it's much harder for hackers to get their hands on it.
So Edge AI is like this triple threat: faster, more private, and more secure.
That's right.
It sounds almost too good to be true.
It does.
Right. Is this something that's actually happening in the real world?
It is.
Or is it still mostly theoretical?
It's already starting to become a reality.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Companies like Qualcomm are developing specialized chips designed specifically for edge AI applications.
Interesting.
And we're seeing more and more devices hitting the market with this capability built in.
Like what?
Think about smart home devices that can respond to your voice commands instantly, even without an internet connection.
Wow.
Or wearable health monitors that can analyze your biometrics and alert you to potential issues in real time.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
It is.
It sounds like edge AI could really revolutionize how we interact with technology,
Yeah.
making it more seamless, personalized, and less reliant on those big tech companies that collect all our data.
It's definitely a shift in power.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing.
Right.
It puts more control in the hands of individuals and opens up exciting possibilities for innovation outside of the traditional tech giants.
I'm starting to see why you're so enthusiastic about this.
Yeah.
It's like edge AI is not just a technical advancement.
Right?
It's a cultural shift that could have far-reaching implications for how we think about data, privacy,
Absolutely.
and the role of technology in our lives.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
I like it.
And speaking of advancements that are changing the game,
Okay.
let's circle back to something we touched on earlier, TensorFlow 3.0.
Yes. You remember that? I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole quantum computing thing.
Yeah.
It's like stepping into a science fiction novel. Can you remind us what's so special about TensorFlow 3.0 and how it relates to quantum computing?
Sure.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about quantum computers being able to solve problems that are impossible for even the most powerful classical computers?
Yeah.
Well, TensorFlow 3.0 is designed to make that power more accessible to developers.
So it's like giving AI developers a set of superpowers.
Exactly.
But honestly, I'm having trouble even imagining what kind of problems you would solve with this kind of power.
It's mind-boggling, right?
Yeah.
Imagine developing new materials with properties we've never seen before.
Wow.
Or designing drugs that target diseases with incredible precision.
Okay.
Or even creating entirely new forms of energy.
Wow, those are some pretty big what-ifs.
They are.
But it sounds like we're still in the early stages of all this.
We are.
Is TensorFlow 3.0 mainly for researchers at this point?
That's a good question.
Or are there real-world applications already emerging?
It's still early days, but we're already seeing some fascinating experiments and pilot projects.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For example, there are researchers using TensorFlow 3.0 and quantum computing to develop more accurate models for financial forecasting, or to optimize complex logistical systems like supply chains.
So it's not just about theoretical possibilities.
Right.
It's starting to have a tangible impact on how we solve real-world problems.
That's what's exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot to take in.
It is.
It feels like we're at this incredible turning point where AI is not just about automating tasks or making things more efficient.
Right.
It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible, challenging our assumptions about what computers can do, and ultimately reshaping our relationship with technology in profound ways.
That's a great way to summarize it.
Yes.
And it underscores the importance of the ethical considerations we discussed earlier. As we enter this new era of AI, it's more important than ever to ensure that these powerful technologies are developed and used responsibly with a focus on human well-being and societal progress.
Well said.
Thank you.
And I think that's a perfect segue into our next segment, where we'll be diving deeper into the specific ways AI is being used to address some of the most pressing challenges facing humanity.
Okay.
From climate change to healthcare to education.
I'm looking forward to it.
We've covered a lot of ground today. From the mind-blowing potential of AI-powered fusion energy to the subtle but significant shifts brought about by edge AI.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like AI is touching every aspect of our lives.
It really does.
And as we were just discussing, it's crucial to consider the ethical implications of these advancements.
Absolutely.
But there's one area I'm particularly curious about: how AI is changing the landscape of policy and governance.
Yeah, that's a great point. AI is not just transforming industries.
Right.
It's forcing policymakers to rethink how we regulate and govern technology in a world where algorithms are making decisions that impact our lives in profound ways.
It feels like we're entering uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And there's no rule book for this. What are some of the key challenges that policymakers are grappling with right now?
One of the biggest challenges is keeping pace with the rapid evolution of AI.
Okay.
Technology is moving at a breakneck speed.
Right.
And traditional regulatory frameworks often struggle to adapt quickly enough.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Laws and regulations are often written with specific technologies in mind.
Uh-huh.
But AI is constantly pushing the boundaries, creating new possibilities and new challenges that we haven't even anticipated yet.
Exactly. And that's where we're seeing a shift toward more flexible, principles-based approaches to AI regulation. Instead of trying to predict every possible scenario,
Yeah.
policymakers are focusing on establishing broad guidelines that can adapt to new developments.
Can you give us an example of what that looks like in practice?
Sure. One of the key principles that's emerging is the idea of human-centered AI,
Okay.
which emphasizes the importance of ensuring that AI systems are designed and deployed in a way that aligns with human values and priorities.
I like that.
This includes things like transparency, fairness,
Right.
accountability, and
Yeah.
respect for privacy.
Those sound like good principles to guide the development of any technology, really.
For sure.
But how do you actually translate those principles into concrete policies and regulations?
That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
It requires collaboration between policymakers, technologists, ethicists, and even the public.
Wow, a lot of people.
It's about having open discussions about the potential risks and benefits of AI and working together to develop frameworks that foster innovation while safeguarding human interests.
It sounds like a complex balancing act.
It is.
And it's happening against a backdrop of geopolitical competition with different countries and regions vying for leadership in AI.
Absolutely, the stakes are high.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of debate about the best approach to AI regulation.
Right.
Some argue for a more hands-off approach, letting innovation flourish with minimal government intervention. Others advocate for stricter regulations to mitigate potential risks.
It's interesting to see how these different perspectives are playing out on the global stage.
And it is.
And I imagine there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
What works in one context might not be appropriate in another.
That's right. The cultural, political, and economic context plays a huge role in shaping how AI is developed and regulated.
I see.
What's important is that we have these conversations openly and honestly, and that we work together to find solutions that promote both progress and responsibility.
Well said. And I think that's a great message to leave our listeners with.
Okay.
As we've explored today, AI is a powerful force that's reshaping our world in profound ways.
It is.
It has the potential to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Right.
But it also raises complex ethical and societal questions that we need to address head on.
We've only scratched the surface of this vast and rapidly evolving field.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time to be following the developments in AI, and we encourage our listeners to stay engaged, stay curious, and be part of shaping the future of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
And that's what the deep dive is all about, exploring these complex topics together, learning from each other, and having those crucial conversations that will shape the future.
Well said.
Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments and follow @AI for the People for more insights.
Yes.
Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join us tomorrow for another deep dive into the fascinating world of AI.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening.